Hi there, welcome. My name is Daniela and I'm a library assistant at the Five Forks Branch Library here in Greenville County. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet your very own Christmas wreath ornament for the holidays. The pattern we're working off of today is designed by June Gilbank from Planet June, and you should have all your supplies ready to go in your kits. So go ahead and grab your size H hook and your green yarns. We'll be starting with light green and we can begin. So to start off, we are going to get our crochet hook. We have a size H, and there's a few ways that you could actually hold your crochet hook, and it really just comes down to whatever makes you feel most comfortable. I personally like to hold my crochet hooks like this. I feel like it gives me a little bit more stability and ease whenever I am working. But I have also seen people who like to hold their crochet hooks like this. It looks kind of like holding a pencil. And it's really just going to come down to whatever feels more natural to you. So go ahead, give it a couple tries, see which direction feels a little more natural for you. And especially once we get into doing our chaining in a little bit, that'll also help you get a feel of what feels better in terms of controlling your hook and controlling your yarn. So it's really going to be up to you, but that is going to be probably your best two options that I've seen people do. If you come up with one on your own that feels more natural to you, feel free. As long as it works for you and you're getting the same results, that's what's really going to matter. We are going to start on our project. Alright, so first off, we're going to start by making a slip knot. That's going to be the first thing you do on every project. So you're going to go ahead and loop this around, make a little circle. Doesn't have to be that big. And then you'll take your working yarn, bring it up underneath this circle. Ooh, there it is. Then slip your crochet hook right underneath it, just like that. And then pull. And that is going to be your slip knot. And you can adjust that to be how big you want it, but don't pull it too tight, otherwise it's going to be a lot harder for you to pull your stitches through your loops. From there, we can go ahead, wrap up our yarn so you have a good grip on it. And then we will start off by doing some chaining. A chain foundation is what's going to start off all your crochet projects. So anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to loop your crochet hook under your working yarn and pull it right up through this loop. And that's your chain. We're going to do that again. Down, up, and pull. One more time. Down underneath, and pulling that through. And that's how you do your chain. The good thing to remember is to not do them either too loose or too tight. Too loose might make your crochet a little wonky, and too tight will make it harder to pull your chains through. So we're going to do a couple more. And pull, loop, and pull, loop, and pull. And there you go. And of course, we're going to need 36 of these chains for our project. So a good way to remember how to count is that you're going to count these little V's that you see in the braids. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to go ahead and do 30 more of that. I'm going to speed this up and I will meet you at 36 and we can move on. Alright, so by now you should have your 36 chains all done. So a little side note that whenever you make your slip knot at the beginning, you don't have to have too much of your tail end. You don't have to make it too long because you're not going to need to weave in too much. And so just be aware of that. So now that we've got our chain, I'm going to look at our main part of our pattern, which is going to be a repetition, but assuming that most people don't immediately know what the abbreviations mean, we're just going to go over that real quick. So SC means a single crochet, and I will show you all these stitches as we start. And then CH2 means chain 2, and that's how you're going to know what you do. You already did your chaining, so that's going to be easier for you to do. You know what that means. And the single crochet is the very basic stitch and crochet. And that's the only new stitch that you're going to be doing in this pattern. And you'll see in your pattern that you've got these little asterisks that say to repeat bits from one asterisk to the other. And that's just going to be this repetition that you're going to do over and over again through your 36 stitches. It just makes it a little easier to remember that after every single crochet you are going to chain 2, and it's going to be between doing 1 stitch and then 2 stitches in the same stitch. 1, 2, 1, 2. So in case you get a little lost as you're going, that's a good way to make sure you're in the right place on your repetition based on where you are in your chain. Might be a little confusing, but it'll make a little more sense as we go along. Right, so we are going to start on our chain. When you're making your stitches, you're going to go in between the V's right there. So our first stitch is going to be a single crochet in the second chain from your hook. So here is your hook. You're going to just do 1, 2, and that is going to be where you go in. You're going to go in with your hook just like that, and you're going to go around your yarn and pull up a loop. Okay, now you've got 2 loops on your hook. Okay, you're going to go around again, and you're going to pull this through those 2 loops and up, and that is your single crochet. All right, we're going to do that one more time just in case you're a little confused. All right, get situated again. So second chain from the hook, 1, 2, and you're going to go in through the middle of that chain, and you're going to go around back and pull up that loop. Got 2 loops on your hook now, and then once again pull around back and pull that loop through both loops on your hook, and that is your single crochet. Now that we've done our single crochet, we can move on to the repetition part of our pattern. So you see, we're going to start off with chain 2, which is going to be pull around and through, wrap around and through. And now the things that are in parentheses means that they're going to be done in the same stitch. So both of these single crochets are being done through the same stitch. And I'm going to show you what that means. So we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. A quick tip on how to make sure you're going into your next stitch is if you pull up your last stitch, you'll see where that one goes in, so right afterwards. So we're going to go ahead and slip through into this chain, wrap around and pull up that second loop, and then we're going to wrap around and pull through both those loops for our first single crochet. And we're going to do our chain 2, and then the second single crochet here is going into that exact same stitch. So we're going to put our hooks right through that same opening, wrap around and pull up that loop, and then wrap around and pull through. So you see you've got 1 stitch in one and then 2 in this one. Okay. Now, following the pattern, we're going to chain 2 again, 1 and 2, and then we are single crocheting in the next chain. So this next one right here, I'm going to go ahead and go through, and then so you're going to go underneath and pull through. Here are your 2 loops, underneath and pull through. And it's okay if you have to be a little bit careful and wiggle through or do 1 loop then the next loop, if that makes it easier for you, and it makes it easier to hopefully not split your yarn. You gotta be careful about that. It shouldn't be too much of a problem, but just in case this tip hooks on there, Just take your time, you don't have to rush it. And so that is going to be our first repetition of this pattern. So we're going to do it a couple times together again so we get the hang of it, and that it's going to be that easy. All right, so let's do that one more time. Just to remind you, we're only repeating the things that are between the asterisks. So this single crochet in the second hook was our first stitch, and then after that, disregard that. We're continuing on here. We're going to start off again with our chain 2. After every single crochet, there is going to be a chain 2, if that makes it a little bit easier to remember. And we're going to do 1 and 2. Into our next stitch, we are doing that 2 single crochets with the chaining. So next stitch, we're going to go 1 and pull through, and then chaining 2, 1 and 2, and once again into that same stitch. Once again, we're going to pull up that loop and then pull through both of them like that. Just did a single crochet, which means we are going to be chaining 2 again, and then in the next stitch it is going to be a single crochet, pulling up that loop and pull through both. Now, as you can probably tell, this is going to automatically start curling around, and it might start trying to get into your way, so feel free to manipulate the end as you need in order to not get confused by it, not let it be in your way. Just tuck it back, and at the end we will make sure it's in the direction it needs to be, but that may get in your way a little bit, so just move it around as it feels comfortable for you to stay out of your way as best as possible. So you don't want to accidentally start crocheting into the end that you already worked on. So just go ahead and fold that back. It's not going to hurt it, it's not going to twist it, it's going to be okay. Right? So we'll do another repetition together. Let's see, we are going to chain 2 because we just did a single crochet, 1 and 2. Next stitch, we are doing our parenthesis, loop up and loop through. And we've got our chain, and in the same stitch, single crochet through, and then chain 2 again, 1 and 2, and in our next stitch, a single crochet again, looping up and looping through. And like I said before, a good way to make sure you know where you are in your pattern is you'll see you've got 2 stitches here, 1 stitch here, 2 stitches here, 1 stitch here. So if by any chance you reach the end and something's amiss, you're not quite hitting the last stitch at the very end on a single chain, go back and make sure you can count 2, 1, 2, 1, and you'll probably be able to find where you might have gone a little askew like that. And then you can just rip it up and pull back and rip apart until you reach your mistake, and then correct from there. So we're going to go ahead and speed up this little process at the end. Work at your own pace. If you need to go back and re-watch it as you go along, feel free to do so. But I will meet you at the end, and we will go from there. Right, so this is probably what your project looks like right now. It's a little bent out of shape from being moved around while you're working, but that's okay. We're gonna fix that. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna take some handy dandy scissors and probably gonna leave a couple of inches on this tail. So you're gonna, if you got extra yarn, that's okay. It's better to have more than less. So you're gonna find a good place and just gonna go ahead and snip that right off. To finish your project, the best way to finish that off is make sure you're holding onto the yarn that's still attached here, okay? What you're going to want to do is just go underneath again, slip through as if you're doing a chain, but instead just pull it all the way through, and then just pull that tight, and there you go. That is knotted off and secure. So to get this looking the way it's meant to look, notice here you're going to see, you can see the braids coming through on the top of that. Then on the bottom it looks a lot flatter. So we want all these braids up here to be on the top. So it's probably going to be a little easier to start from the bottom here. So if you look at that, here is how that's supposed to look. So just start twisting around, making sure you get that top braid. Fiddle with it and start just turning it around, following this side. And turn this away. And there we go. That should be, oh no, there's a little weirdness right here. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. That is a little more like it. Of course, probably a little stretched out, so feel free to just squish that together. You can give it a little twist, kind of get those curls a little more situated. And that is what you should have. So that's one half of our project. You can see I've already gone ahead and done the dark green version of the same way. I started off with the light green for the video because it's a little easier to see the stitches, so it's a little easier for you to get the hang of what you're doing. But now what you're going to do is you're going to do the exact same thing in the darker green yarn. Okay, I have not snipped off my end here, so we can go ahead and do that. Like I said, leave a couple inches, and then we're just going to go ahead and, oh, there it goes. So I'll show you how to tie off again on this one. So see, this was the loop where my hook was on. Pulled it out a little bit so it wouldn't get lost on me. So go ahead and you're going to loop around again. Pull through that last loop and all the way through. And then just tighten it. That's how you're going to end your project. And I did the same thing with this one, where I went around and I made sure that the braided side was on the top. And so you should have both of these. Now go ahead and get this one done. And you can go ahead and give that video a pause and then come back when you've got both sets done. And I will show you how we wrap them around to make our kind of candy cane looking segment that will turn into our wreath. Okay, so you should have both of your spirals done now. And what we're going to do is we are going to now put them together in order to make our wreath. And it's going to be a little bit of twisting. It's going to be a little strange at first. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the ends where we started, find both ends like that. And just go ahead and kind of nest them together. So should look a little bit like that. They're all kind of tucked in between each other, and from here we're kind of just going to start looping them around. So I'm going to go ahead and hold those as best you can and just kind of bring this up and around. Slowly just twisting, and they should be falling into their respective notches without too much difficulty. You should be seeing exactly like where they should be going. But just keep twisting one over the other, letting it fall into place. And then we can adjust once we get everything put together. This one should come up here. The ends might get a little twisted, but okay. Just kind of keep following the spiral that's naturally happening. By the time we get to this spot, everything should really be nested properly, so it shouldn't be too difficult to figure out how to untangle it once we get to this point towards the end. Of course, these ends might decide they want to tie up on you, so just give them a pull, get them untangled. We will deal with them in a little bit. And when you are done, these two should be nesting side by side as well. And now you've got your body of your wreath pretty well done. I, as usual, just kind of like to give a bit of twist, make sure they're a little neat, but that is how it's going to look. And now we're just going to have to take these and put them together like that. You can see, you know, you feel the need to adjust any of these little layers a little bit more. But we are almost there. So here is where it's going to probably be the hardest little bit. It's going to be joining these two ends together. Only because it's kind of an awkward positioning. You know, you're going to kind of bring those two together. And it doesn't have to be the neatest, because that's where we are going to put our bow on top of this join to hide any sort of ugliness of the ends not matching completely. It's 100% fine. But if you're a perfectionist like me, you like to have things looking as neat as possible. So that's what we're going to try to do. But, you know, it may not end up being the case, because these ends are kind of hard to join when they're stuck together on top of each other. So we are going to try starting off with this light green end, since the light green is a little easier to see in the video. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our ends here and make sure these ends are flat where they need to be. We are going to try to match up the two ends as much as we can. And so we're going to go ahead, and if you have a tapestry needle, you can use that to kind of sew these two ends into the side. But I'm going to show you how to do it with a crochet hook. We're going to go ahead and into one of these chains here, we're just going to slip the needle through, and we're going to take one of these ends and pull that through. And you can just use your hand to pull the yarn up. We're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to do probably this next one right here, or you can even do the same one. I'm just going to do the next one so that way it's a little easier to tie off at the end. And pull that end and bring it through. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to that there, because now we're going to try to do the darker green. And like I said, it's okay if it's not the prettiest join. We're going to cover up any ugliness with that bow. It's going to be a great little distraction. We're going to go ahead and we're going to find the dark green end now. kind of match it up as best we can, and I'm going to go ahead and through one of the loops that you can find, just go ahead and stick your needle through and probably take the inner corner, the inner end, and go ahead, kind of bring that around and pull that through, and then one next to it, put your hook through and go ahead and pull that end in and through and kind of just tighten that. And like I said, join's not going to be, seamless because it is a weird shape, but if you can see, go ahead and lay it as flat as we can. It's not going to look too terrible, okay? Especially when you got that bow on top of it, it's not going to be as visible. So from here, we can just, if you're happy with it, good. If you want to try again and try to get a little neater, feel free. I've done that multiple times when making these, but I'm going to go ahead and call this one good enough for government work. And so we're going to go ahead and take the two ends and just give it a knot to secure those ends together, and doubly sure, double knot it. Go ahead and flip this around so I can see my dark green yarn, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go ahead, give them a good pull to make sure they are flush against each other, and then go ahead and knot that twice. And now we are going to take our scissors and we are going to go ahead and, like, not entirely against the knot, maybe leave a little centimeter of leeway there, and snip those ends off. And we'll do the same to the light green yarn. And one more. There it is. From here, you can once again adjust it to whatever makes you happiest with the state of your wreath. Go ahead and twist it a little bit, and you can always tell there's going to be one side that's a little more bumpy than the other one. So if you don't mind the other side being a little bumpy, you can adjust it to make one side as perfect as you can. And there you go. We've got our circle wreath ready to go. And now we're going to just go ahead and make our bow, and then we can attach it, get a string through it, and we're almost done. So now we're going to work on the bow for our wreath. It's going to basically be the same thing we did with our green yarn at the very beginning, but now in red. So we're going to go ahead and start off by making a slip knot. Tuck that underneath, and get your hook under it, and pull it. And then tighten it just a little bit, not too tight, not too loose. And then we are going to go ahead and chain 36. So in case that's a little fuzzy, I'm going to go ahead and show you again. Wrap around the back and pull through. That is one chain. And then wrap around, pull through, wrap around, and pull through. So go ahead and continue that until you've got 36, and then we will reconvene. Alright, so that is how your 36 chain should look. Should be very familiar from the beginning of our spirals. So we're just going to go ahead and tie this off. So like we've done in the other ones, we're going to go ahead and pull just another one through this loop and pull the whole tail through and just give it a little tug and tighten that up. So go ahead and set your crochet hook aside, and I'm going to form this bow. So I like to make sure that I've got pretty even sides when I go ahead and grab the bow. We're going to tie this like bunny ears when you were first learning how to tie your shoes. So we'll hold the two sides and tuck this in and pull that around. It's going to get all twisty, but it's okay. We can go ahead and adjust. We're just only going to tie that just loosely for now. So then you can go ahead and adjust your little bow. See how long you want the ends, how circular you want the bow at the top, whatever makes you happiest with your bow. And then as you go adjusting, you start tightening that a little bit more. Just play around with it until it makes you happy. It's whatever makes you happiest with your bow. There's no real guidelines besides how to tie it. So I think I am pretty happy with the way this one looks like this. So you go ahead and just tighten it a little bit more. Make sure that's secure. If anything is going to skew, you can wiggle it back how you want it. And there you go. You've got a cute little bow to put on your wreath. And now we can deal with these ends. We're just going to snip those off because we have no more need for them. So just be careful. You might want to leave a little teeny bit at the ends. So if you go too close, to the end, it might over time wiggle and loosen up that knot. So I'm just going to the knot and then slightly out. There we go. And the same thing on this side. Give that one more little tug. And then to the knot, slightly further out, and snip. And there you go. You got an adorable little bow for your wreath. And now we can go ahead and attach that. So we've got our bow and we've got our wreath. Now the only thing left to do is join them together and get it strung up. So you've got two options on the way you can do this. You can either place your bow down here at the bottom and have it like that, or you can twist your joint around to the top and place your bow at the top and have it like that. Both ways are very cute. It's entirely up to you which one you prefer. I have done both ways myself. I think this time though, I'm going to go ahead and put the bow down at the bottom. Okay. To do that, we're going to go ahead and take our craft fabric glue and put a dot of it right here in the middle of this knot. Don't feel the need to be stingy. It's going to need some good adherence, alright? So we've got that there. So we're going to go ahead and find a good spot of yarn to join those two. I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And just give it a little press. Doesn't have to be too hard. And there you go. Now obviously it's going to take a little bit of time to dry, but that should hold. If for whatever reason it doesn't hold as well as you would like, you can also just take some red thread and kind of sew it through and tie it around the back. But this should suffice pretty well. And it's already looking supremely cute. We're almost done. All we have left to do is put it on some string it up, and we should be good to go. But you've done so much. Look at how adorable your project is. It's gonna make the holidays that much cuter. Okay, we're on our last step. You should have a smaller piece of yarn in your kit that you're going to use to string up your ornaments. So gotta be careful with this to not knock it off if it's still a little wet. You can always wait until this is dry before you string it up. I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to do it. It's pretty intuitive, but we're just going to go ahead and try to find the middle. And we're going to slip this through. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of wiggle it in between the green so it hides it just a little bit. It doesn't break the illusion of our wreath. And you can go ahead and tie that at whatever length you would like. Give it a little knot. And hold that. Tighten that up. Go ahead and cut these ends. They're not sticking out everywhere. Of course, they go wiggling everywhere. Alright, go ahead and cut those. And I like to just twist this. And there you go. That is going to be your ornament. You can go ahead and hang this from your tree, or if you're feeling adventurous, make some more and take a really long strand of yarn and link them all up and make a little garland of wreaths. But that is your ornament, and you've done it. And now you have a finished ornament. You've got some extra embellishments in your kit if you'd like to decorate it and add some more sparkly bits to make it even prettier. But we are done. Thank you for joining me on this craft journey. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy your ornament. If you're interested in learning more crochet, we have lots of really good resources to get you started. We've got some really great books in our catalog that will teach you the techniques that you need to know, and they also have really great patterns for you to try. We also have Creative Bug, which is free with your Greenville County Library card, and they have lots of really good instructional videos on crochet, knitting, quilting, and other crafts. They also have project videos like this one where you can follow along and make different projects. Creative Bug can be accessed through our website, and all you will need is your library card number and your PIN number to log in and get started. Also keep an eye out for the return of our Unraveled program, which is where crafters come together to hang out and work on their projects and share some crafting knowledge with each other. It's a great place to meet some new people who do maybe the same craft as you or maybe a different craft, and you get to learn a lot and hang out with some really great people. Thank you again for requesting this kit and joining me on this project. I hope you loved it as much as I did. Happy crafting!